Well, my name's Nabihah Iqbal, and I'm from London. I was born in London. I'm a musician and a DJ, a producer, and also a radio presenter. But I'm Pakistani, so far my journey. I mean, I've been doing music my whole life. It feels really special to be here in Karachi and to have played my first ever gig in Pakistan last weekend at District 19. Yeah, so I can't explain, but the feeling of coming to Pakistan, like the motherland, and being able to share my music and my DJ sets here and to have such a good response, it feels amazing. I guess because I'm from London, I am in the minority there, and although things are changing and they're moving in the right direction and there's a lot more female musicians and DJs doing their thing now, and definitely more South Asians as well coming through. Everything I do, I feel like, is an attempt to just increase that representation and just to normalize it. It's one of the reasons why I decided to just use my real name, Nabihah Iqbal, instead of another name for DJ or anything like that. Well, music's been my favorite thing my whole life, and my parents always talk about how my first musical obsession was Michael Jackson when I was just like a baby. And they recorded this Michael Jackson documentary from the TV. And then I watched that tape so many times that the tape broke. And then I was like freaking out. So then they had to go out and buy me another Michael Jackson videotape. And then I used to watch that every day. And he's still my favorite out of all. Like, he's my favorite musician, because there'll never be another Michael Jackson. R.I.P. I have influences from everywhere, really. I don't know. I guess like the main ones would be not influences, but inspirations, or just my favorite music would be like Michael Jackson for sure, Bob Dylan, Jeff Buckley, Prince, loads of jazz like John Coltrane and Khan Jamal, and there's so much amazing music in Pakistan as well. Like, I really want to learn about all the different types of classical and folk music here, because I feel like music is such a huge part of Pakistani culture and it's so ancient. And I play the sitar as well, and when I started learning the sitar, then it made me think about music in a whole different way, because it's so different to learning a Western instrument. Well, with regard to DJing, it's just basically me sharing music that I love, that I want other people to hear. And then DJing on the radio is quite different to DJing like for a dance floor. So on my radio shows, I can play anything, right? And it doesn't really matter, because you're not playing to a crowd, or your main aim is not to make people dance. So it's more of a like deeper exploration of unusual sounds and things. And sometimes my radio shows will have a theme. I like doing geographical themes based on where I've just been. Like, I've done a show all about Pakistan where I play Pakistani music and also the different field recordings that I made. So on that show, for example, I shared recordings of the birds, of the azan, of the traffic, just all the sounds that make Karachi that people who've never been to Pakistan will have never experienced. But then when you listen to it, it kind of like transports you to another place. Then when I play out to a crowd, like when I was doing the gig here at District 19, the main aim if you're DJing in a club is like, you got to make people dance and you got to make them feel good. That's the whole point. So then that's my main aim. So I'll still play loads of different types of music, and anyone who is here that night, they'll know, because I was playing like UK garage and house music, but then also like disco and jazz and like some old funk and even Pakistani music. I really am not a fan of DJ sets where all the music sounds the same, and it's all at one tempo and it's all one kind of thing, because personally I find that quite boring, but that's just my personal opinion. So it's like I need to keep myself entertained at the same time. So I'll play music that I want to hear, and it's nice to play it really loud, and it's so nice to see how all the crowd responds to it. And especially when you play in a new place, because I've never played in Pakistan, so I had no idea what what the crowd would think. The experience was amazing, because on one level, it just felt like something very special for me to come back to Pakistan and be in my homeland and play for people here, and to have this like brown crowd, you know, it's so nice, because it's something that's kind of rare for me, because most of the time I'm playing around the UK or in Europe, or you know, even in America you don't get that. And I was quite nervous before playing, and I don't really normally get nervous before a DJ set, but I did feel nervous that night because it felt like quite a big deal. But it was just amazing, and it was so nice to see everybody responding to the music in such a positive way. I want to do it again next time. But I just think it's another element that you can play with, so why not? It's like making music. When I first made music, I would only make instrumental music, and then some of my friends were like, you should try writing lyrics. And then first I was really hesitant, but then I realised that adding lyrics is just adding another layer of communication to whatever you're trying to convey, and it's so effective. And I have to say that out of all the DJ booths I've ever DJ'd in, the District 19 one was the best, because I remember on my last trip here I was talking to Hero and Moes about it, and I really love decorating the stage with plants and things, and then I think they remembered I said that, and when I turned up the other night it just looked so beautiful with all the like flowers and plants and all the lighting. It was just, I wish every venue would put in that much effort to the DJ booth. That's a really tough question, because I know I kind of got my fingers in all the pies, and I feel like every different thing I do gives me like a different form of sustenance, you know, like the DJing for a crowd in a club, that gives you like a certain energy and a certain fulfillment, and doing radio shows, again, it's a different kind of fulfillment, and the same with making music. If I had to really choose one, then I'd probably choose being an artist and making my own music. When I get a creative block, like I always keep some poetry books in my studio, so if I feel like I'm not really getting anywhere, then I'll just stop and maybe read something. And I find like poetry can be quite a good trigger, whether it's like the emotions or just like the scenes that are created through the writing, or maybe just it could give you some inspiration for writing lyrics. So maybe I'll try and do something else like that. And then like, I don't know, if you want like a totally honest answer, sometimes I'm like, oh, I'm just leaving. I would love to. So this for me is the beginning, you know, this trip, like playing my first show here, then also like going on the radios, the local Karachi radio station, and just connecting with more and more people here doing music. And you know, I love coming to Pakistan, and I love spending time here, and I just want to be able to do more and more of that, and just like build those relationships and collaborate with people in all different ways, whether that's like making music together or playing shows here, or trying to invite people to come and perform in the UK, or just like doing different things. Yeah, there are loads of like interesting artists. Ones that I like, well, there's an artist called Slow Spin who's Pakistani, but I think she's actually like relocated now, but I love her voice. One of my friends that I made here, he's called Daniel Ahmed, and he's so good at playing bansuri, and he knows so much about the local like folk and traditional music scenes. So it's always like a pleasure to speak to him, because I learn so much from him and I love hearing him play. And there's another artist called Catman MU, and he made this track called Vacation Candy with this other artist called Arsalan, and it's one of my favourite songs from the last couple of years. Haider Appel, who I played with here at District 19, I think his music's really cool and interesting. Well, I think like most fields are male dominated when you think about it. It's not just about music, I think it's a much wider issue. And yeah, we get asked about these kind of things all the time, you know, like if you're a female DJ or you're a female producer. I kind of wish like male DJs and male producers would get asked the same question too, like how they feel about like what needs to change to make things fairer and you know, kind of like just a nicer environment for everybody. I'll say that because I've just been through so many obstacles with trying to make this record. but it finally feels like it's starting to take shape, and I like the ideas that I'm coming up with, and I just want to develop them a bit more. So that's like my biggest priority. And once that's out, I would love to be able to come back to Pakistan and DJ again, but then also do a live performance and maybe perform the new record. Like, I think that would feel even more special. Okay, at the moment, I'm just going through a total re-obsession with Jeff Buckley. Other artists that I have to mention Arooj Aftab, because I love her voice, and she's someone who, you know, she's doing her own thing. She's Pakistani, but in the States, and she's just been nominated for 2 Grammys, which when I heard the news just made me feel so happy. Wow, well, it's hard. Like, I played so many shows, and every you know, there's been loads of really memorable ones. I think I'd definitely have to say, like, now if I had to choose like top 3 shows, this one that I played at District 19 is going to be so memorable, because it's my first show in Pakistan, and it was just such a warm reception, and it was so fun. So that's definitely going to stick in my mind. Another one that's really coming in my mind is when I played in Malaysia a couple years ago in Kuala Lumpur, in this really small club called Phono that's run by this couple. They just love music. Another one that's coming into my head now, because it's hard to just pick 3, but I'm just picking the 3 that are in my head, was in Spain in this club in San Sebastian, and that was like a really fun gig to play as well. Well, I just love eating my Nan's food, because she's literally the best cook I've ever come across. I know everyone says this about their grandparents, right? But in Pakistan, maybe it's true, because I feel like I'm sure everyone's grandparents are really good at cooking. The bangan, I love eating bangan, the aubergine, her bhindi, biryani, but also she just makes the best omelets that I've ever eaten. Well, I guess my favorite thing is just to see my grandparents. This trip and the last trip, it's just been nice to hang out and like get, you know, meet new people, get a bit of a taste of like the music scene here, so that's been really good. Third favourite thing, which is no longer available, is Itwar Bazaar.